Sorrow. It's something that, touches every single one of us. But a lot of the time, we really struggle to understand it. So today, we're going to break down this really complex feeling. The goal isn't just to define it, but to maybe understand ourselves a little better through it.
Okay, so let's just dive right in with this fundamental question. We all know what sorrow feels like, right? But what is it, really? It's so much deeper than just being sad. You can think of it more like a profound and often much longer-lasting emotional response to a really significant loss or a deeply painful event.
And here's the key thing to get. Sorrow isn't just one thing. It's a multidimensional experience. To really get a handle on it, we've got to look at it from 3 different angles: the psychological, the social, and the physical. And that's pretty much going to be our roadmap for this whole discussion.
All right, let's start our journey from the inside out with the psychological perspective. How does sorrow actually work inside our own heads? And, maybe more surprising, does it even have a purpose? Okay, this is where it gets really, really interesting. Most of us, we think of sorrow as this enemy we need to defeat, right? But psychologically, it's actually a functional process. It's even a necessary one. It's basically the mind's way of helping us process a loss and adapt to a completely new reality. It's painful, for sure, but it's a natural response. It's a sign of adaptation, not a sign that you're broken. But, and this is super important, we have to draw a really clear line here. While sorrow is natural, it is not the same thing as clinical depression. When that sorrow becomes intensely prolonged and it really starts to take over your ability to function day to day, well, that's when it might be evolving into something more serious. The key really is knowing when that natural response crosses a line and might require some professional support to navigate.
Okay, so let's zoom out a bit. We've looked inside the mind. Now let's look at the social context. Because sorrow never, ever happens in a vacuum, right? It's profoundly shaped by the world all around us, our culture, our community, all the people we're connected to. Just think about how different the experience can be depending on where you are. Some cultures, they encourage these loud, really open expressions of grief. Others value kind of quiet stoicism. And having a strong support system, that can be a massive buffer. It can really soften the blow. But on the flip side, if there's a social stigma, one that treats sorrow like it's a weakness, that can be so damaging. It just forces people into isolation right when they need connection the most.
And that brings us to our third perspective, the neurobiological view. This is where we see that sorrow isn't just all in your head, not at all. It has a real, totally measurable impact on your brain and your body. So let's take a look at the hard science behind it.
This table really drives home that mind-body connection. When you're feeling sorrow, your brain chemistry literally changes. We're talking about a drop in the levels of things like serotonin and dopamine, the chemicals that handle mood and pleasure. The part of your brain that processes emotional pain, the anterior cingulate cortex, it just lights up with activity. See, this isn't just a feeling. It triggers this whole cascade of physical effects. We're talking insomnia, changes in appetite, and it can even weaken your immune system. It's real.
So, we've talked a lot about the what and the why of sorrow. But the big question is, how do we actually move through it? Well, this next part is all about the path forward. We're going to look at some practical steps for the person who's experiencing sorrow and also for those of us around them who want to help.
So if you're the one going through it, the focus really needs to be on finding healthy outlets and just restoring a sense of stability. That means you got to express what you're feeling, maybe write it down, maybe you create some art, or maybe just talk to a friend you trust. It also means making basic self-care totally non-negotiable. We're talking sleep, good food, a little bit of exercise. Things like mindfulness can also be a huge help, letting you accept your feelings without getting totally swept away by them. And seriously, never underestimate the power of a simple routine. It can be an anchor when everything else just feels chaotic.
Okay, but what if you're on the other side? What if you're the supporter? The guidance here is pretty clear. Actions speak way louder than cliches. Instead of that vague, hey, let me know if you need anything, try offering specific, practical help. Can I drop off dinner tonight? Or I can walk your dog this afternoon. The whole goal is to create a safe space where they can be honest without any judgment. And please, remember that consistent, low-pressure communication, we're talking even just a quick text, can be an absolute lifeline against that profound sense of isolation that sorrow brings.
This brings us to our final and really crucial topic. Healing isn't about forgetting. But sometimes that journey of healing, well, it requires a professional guide. So the big question is, how do you know when it's actually time to seek out that kind of help?
That's a question a lot of people wrestle with. There's this feeling that you should be strong enough to just handle it on your own.
But the truth is, there are some very clear signs that tell you when seeking professional help isn't just a good idea, it's actually a necessary step for your well-being.
So, these are the critical warning signs you really need to watch for. If just getting through your daily life, work, home, even basic self-care feels impossible, that's a big one. If you find yourself turning to substances like drugs or alcohol to try and escape, that's another. And most urgently, if any suicidal thoughts emerge, that is a clear, undeniable signal to reach out for professional help immediately.
And here's a really clear practical benchmark for you. If that intense, all-consuming sorrow lasts for more than 2 months, that's the signal. That's the threshold. It's time to seek some professional guidance. So we'll end on this really powerful idea. Healing from sorrow isn't about